I've been using the Galaxy Note 10 Plus for the past 30 days. And when it comes to Galaxy devices, especially the Note line, you need to use it a very long time to let the device live inside your life. You see, the Note device has many different things that other phones don't have, like the S Pen. So I took a lot of time with this video and took a lot of notes. And here's my final thoughts about the Galaxy Note 10. The Galaxy Note 10 Plus is Android's most advanced phone we've seen, but of course, that's nothing new. You know, Samsung always pushes the phones with the newest innovative features. And not all the features something that I would use, and I might use something, but you may not use something, or vice versa, but that's a good thing. Samsung makes devices that everyone can use and find great features for. The Note 10 starts at $1,099.99, or if you add another $100, you can get it for 512 gigabytes. The Note 10 Plus is everything that a Note should be, minus the headphone jack. And you know what? It's time to let go of the headphone jack. It is time to move on. If you need wired headphones, there are definitely other ways to do it, like a USB-C to 3.5mm jack, although that does not come in the box. Beyond the missing headphone jack, it retains an SD card slot, but the Note 10 regular, not the one I'm covering in this video, does not have an SD card slot. The design is typical Samsung. It's glass in the front and back. And in typical Samsung fashion, it's amazing to look at. We're almost at the point now where we can consider this jewelry. This color that Samsung sent over is the Aurora Glow, and I think it just looks great. And depending on how the light hits it, it actually changes colors. But you know the flip side of the story. The phone gets smudges, it's slippery to hold. You've heard this 1,000 times. And I think you'd be a savage if you didn't have a case on the phone. At least one bad drop, the phone could actually shatter. I've seen plenty of Galaxy devices shattered on the front and on the back, so protect your investment. If you don't want to go with the case, you can grab a dbrand skin. They're one of my sponsors, but I also like their products. For only a couple bucks, the dbrand skin can prevent your phone from being so slippery, change the look up, give you a brand new texture, and make your device look super unique. There are thousands of combinations you can choose from. Hit the link down below to dbrand your device. This is a Note. This phone's made to get stuff done, and stuff does get done with the Note. First of all, the battery life is great. It surpasses the Note 9, surpasses the S10 Plus for me. In my experience, I got a completely full day of usage. By the time I went to bed, I was at 30% of battery. Then from there, didn't touch the phone at all, woke up in the morning, used the phone until I killed it, and it was good until 11 a.m. the next morning. So that's nearly a day and a half of some pretty heavy usage. And that right there is impressive as heck. As far as performance, as you'd expect with any Snapdragon 855 phone, it is very fast. Handling Android is a complete breeze for these modern phones, so I'm not going to talk about performance that much. Just know it's very fast. When you look at some pretty high-end applications, maybe some video editing, this 4K file format, which is really huge, it takes advantage of the fast storage UFS 3.0, which the OnePlus has as well, meaning that it accesses the storage that much faster, so everything you do is going to be blinding quick. And also, Samsung used to get a bad rap, or some people still give it a bad rap about its software. The TouchWiz days have been dead for about 3 years now, and it's One UI, and One UI gets better every single year with every iteration. Yes, there are tons of settings, and sometimes the setting menus do get a bit oversome and cumbersome, but at the same time, you can do whatever you want with the phone, and they do a good enough job in making the menu structure simple, and you can also search for your settings too. The screen on this phone is amazing. It's what you'd expect from any Samsung phone. As you know, they make the best screen. So number one, the screen falls off the phone. You have this infinity display that looks really, really good. I mean, it is definitely stunning in person. The color profile, I think out of the box, is fine-tuned nicely. Skin profiles look really good. It's not overly poppy like we've seen in previous Samsung phones. Reds and oranges are different. They used to be sort of the same, and a lot of the great things that you want from a screen, it has. You can also tweak the color profile if you want. If you go into settings, you can tweak it to your heart's desire and make it super punchy, but out of the box, it actually looks pretty good. As far as the multimedia aspect, you have this really nice screen, and then you have these really good speakers. Now, the speaker is still located at the bottom towards one of the bezels, and at the same time, it's just when you're playing a game, your hand does cover that speaker, and it ruins some of the immersiveness. Otherwise, if your hand is removed, it does sound good. It's just a shame that Samsung still has it in that location that always gets covered up. This phone is great for gaming. I think Samsung even considered gamers when they made this phone. This phone has a gaming mode that allows you to adjust performance to get the most out of it. I found that really wasn't needed as this phone ran fine enough with all the games, but there are more options like disabling notifications while in games, and also a way to live stream your gaming sessions while using the front-facing camera at the same time to record you. There's a few other things that gamers may want to check out, including the ability to have Discord built in. Discord is the world's largest gaming chat service, and with Discord you can communicate, you can set up matches, you can talk to people with type or even with your voice in group chat. So as I mentioned, phone's about getting stuff done, so DeX is on board too. DeX had a major upgrade and no longer requires a specific monitor to work. DeX now can plug into your current computer. So you plug in DeX to your computer, install an application, and now you have access to your phone, right? Whatever computer it is, whether it's Mac or whether it's PC, you can now use DeX. DeX went from sounding like a great idea to actually being a great idea. Being able to drag and drop files to your phone from your computer was just seamless and pretty much perfect. And being able to look at your videos and run certain applications, just really easier on a computer. I can see people using this if they're at work and still want to access their phone. This would be a great way of doing it. Now you can't run games and not all the applications work, but in my experience, in my testing, most of the applications worked and I was extremely happy with it and actually impressed. I didn't think it would be this good. The S Pen received a yearly update, but this one is actually pretty good. So of course you're gonna have some of your gimmick things like AR Doodle, which draws little animations over your head and all those little cutesy things that I'm not really into, but there's also some functional things. So my favorite thing is screen off memo, and that is when you take the S Pen out from the bottom of the phone when the screen is off and you can just write on the screen. Easiest way to jot down notes and information without having to look through the app and unlock and stuff like that. That received an update. So now you can actually search on these items. So you can do it will then index the text and then you can do a search for things you wrote down by hand. Also, if your handwriting is good enough, you can export it to Microsoft Word and it will have it in there. I would have loved the option to export to Google Docs, but I mean, I get they have a Microsoft partnership, but I still would love the option to export it elsewhere. Regardless, it's a good start and it's better than nothing. The S Pen also has an accelerometer, which I thought was kind of silly at first, but then I found myself using it. So with the S Pen, you can control the camera. So first of all, you tap on the S Pen button, just like last year, takes a picture, takes a video, fine. So now if you move the S Pen in a gesture while pushing the button, what actually happens is switches camera modes, and depending on your gesture, you get into different camera modes. I found myself doing this when I had the phone on a stand. I was working at the driving range. I was sort of recording it for my golf coach, and I was able to stop the video, start the video over when I switched clubs without having to walk to the phone. And that right there was like kind of cool. I was like, I had the S Pen in my pocket, hit record, stopped it, started, all that stuff right from the thing. If there is one criticism, I will say that when swiping between modes, even in this video, I was trying to do it to be real smooth in the video. I found myself it being just too sensitive. So I was like hitting record and taking pictures. So maybe that is just a user thing, but for me, I had a hard time switching between camera modes fluidly without recording on accident. Okay, so let's move over to the camera, one of the main features about the phone and what people really love to talk about. On the back, we have 3 lenses, telephoto, wide, and ultra wide. The camera system is really great. The ultra wide angle is sick. It adds a brand new perspective to the camera. It doesn't have OIS, so in low light or in video, it won't be as effective as the other 2 lenses. It might be a little jumpy when you're trying to record something and there's a lot of movement, but regardless, it's just a nice shot if something's stationary. The camera overall is typical Samsung, so this means outside, well-lit situations, it looks very good. The processing is a bit overkill, but I think it still makes for some really great looking images outside. I mean, take a look at this one here. The front-facing camera to me is still a little bit soft and it adds this smoothing effect even when you have beauty mode turned off. For me, that is something I do not want at all. I don't want my skin that smooth. You know, maybe I'm born with it, maybe it's Samsung, right? But even beyond that, I still think the front-facing camera just still needs some work. You do get great images, and I think the blurry effect of the background has became better over time. It now blurs it better and also grabs the details a lot better than previous years. But still, I'm not a fan of the over-processing of images. I think in low light, the camera becomes Mr. Try Hard, where it's really trying very hard to grabbing brightness and it doesn't recognize the scene. Like when you're outside, you take a picture, let it look dark. Let it look like outside. I feel like the camera wants it to be bright even when it's not. So any little piece of light it finds, it really boosts it, it amplifies it, and sometimes it leaves you with a really bad looking picture. And then other times you're left with an amazing shot like this one. I took this at the exact same time, and sometimes it looks really good, and other times you have these light streaks. I do think that as far as of today, the video on this camera is the best I've ever seen. It's smooth, it has this sort of gimbal effect when you're using the camera because the OIS kicks in when you're using the standard focal length, and also audio is really, really good. It does this thing when you zoom in, it starts to make a cone of audio where it gets rid of the background sound and focuses in on where what the subject is saying or the noise the subject is making. I wouldn't say it's super apparent, but it's a nice enough tweak in the background that makes audio that much better. So it always boils down to, is this the phone for me? And I think for a certain use case, it is the phone for you. If you're a person that needs the S Pen, if you're always jotting down notes, if you're always on the go, if you like the idea of signing contracts, signing documents with the S Pen and not using like a template, then obviously the Note will be the best phone for you. I have a couple of friends that are just diehard Note fans. You cannot take their Note away from them at all. And there's a lot of people like that. So those type of people will always upgrade to the Note, but some people may want to consider what else is on the market, especially in October. There's some additional phones coming out, and maybe wait a little bit and see what else is coming out, or take advantage of some of those aggressive trade-in offers and grab yourself a Note for a pretty low price. Anyways, guys, that's my thoughts. Want to hear yours? Sign off down below. Sign off. Sound off down below. Anyways, guys, Kevin the Tech Ninja, have a great day. I'll catch you guys later.